In this video, what is extensive reading? Why would you want to do it? And how can we do extensive reading in the Thai language? Welcome back to Nick Learns Thai. I'm Nick. If you want to follow along on my journey of learning Thai, please hit the subscribe button below. So, what is extensive reading? This is going to be a very quick overview, and I'll have a more detailed overview perhaps later in a different video. I'll also put some links down in the description where you can learn more about extensive reading if you want to. So the focus of extensive reading is making reading in your second language more enjoyable, easier, and more fun. And therefore, you want to do more of it. It'll be easier to do more of it. And you can get some of the benefits of reading a lot, such as encountering and getting repetitions on new vocabulary, and also seeing lots of different sentence structures and being able to learn how those work. And so you can use them within your own life. Extensive reading is basically the reading version of comprehensible input, if you've heard of that. And there's a ton of research behind it in its efficacy for learning. So the research has shown that in order to do extensive reading properly, you need to know 98% or more of the words in the text that you're reading. So really minimize the number of unknown words, which gives you lots of repetitions and practice on reading words that you already know and building up your speed and your fluency in the reading. And then the words you don't know, they're so infrequent that you can often get them from context. And that allows you to gain new words without having to stop very often and look up words in the dictionary. And that means you're getting a lot of fluidity and practice in your reading, and therefore it's more enjoyable and more interesting and more motivating. So the extensive reading foundation sort of categorizes the different types of reading. So knowing 98% plus of the words is known as extensive reading. Knowing between 90% and 98% is known as intensive reading. So you're going to be spending more time in the dictionary, spending more time perhaps looking at a translated version and trying to sort of work out what the meaning is. And then below 98% of the words known, they call reading pain, which they believe is just so difficult that you really need to be really, really motivated in order to keep going. And it just makes the whole process much more difficult. And therefore, why would you want to do it, basically? I should note that you need to know 98% plus of the words, but also in addition, you should know all of the grammar structures and rules used within the text that you're reading. So it's not just about the words, it's also about the grammar. So that's important to know as well. So that's just a very quick overview. And now here is how we can apply it to Thai. So the gold standard for extensive reading is what's known as graded readers. And these are books or texts written with a controlled vocabulary for different levels of learners. Unfortunately, I wasn't really able to find any of these graded readers for Thai. So I had the idea of organizing all of the resources I could find by the vocabulary that's in them. And that would give me a good guide for knowing which resources were appropriate for each level of vocabulary as I improve my words known. Okay, so this is the spreadsheet that I've come up with for organizing those Thai texts and the words that are in them. So basically what I went and did is used this deep cut Thai tokenizer script to go and analyze all of the 194 texts that I could find, the reading resources that I could find for Thai, and extract all of the words from all of them, and then organize them into a frequency list. So I know which words occur most frequently, and then be able to rank them by how frequently they occur. And that's kind of the standard approach to doing graded readers and doing learning in general within this kind of discipline. And that's to really optimize your learning by learning the words, the vocabulary within the language in the order of frequency, which just makes sense. It's just kind of obvious, right? You want to learn the most frequent words first because they're going to be the most useful to use. My list that I came up with, I've called the reading res rank list. So they're ranked by frequency. But it's also worth noting that there's another frequency list, which is quite common within the sort of Thai learning space. And that's this top 4,000 list by Jorgen Nielsen. Now, he actually used, he didn't do the original analysis. It came from a list produced by Chulalongkorn University. And then he actually took their frequency list and he made some modifications to the ranking. He added some of his own ideas and filtering, and he added various other things to it. So you can actually read his paper on it from this link down here. he kind of explains all about what he did there, which is pretty interesting. And so you can access his actual full list from some of these links here. A few of these links have the list, but I've put his ranking into this spreadsheet as well, but only for the words that are included in the spreadsheet. So if you want the full list, you'll have to use these links because my words tab here only has his ranking, or yeah, his ranking for the words that are included within the reading resources. So I'll explain more about that in a second. Also worth noting that these three different categories here of words known. So you want to spend probably less time, much less time in here, really no time if possible. Some time perhaps in the intensive reading category, but as much time as possible should be in the extensive reading category. That's what this whole spreadsheet is about, trying to organize the texts so that you can pick the ones where you're going to already know 98% of the words. Now, it should be noted that this is very much a work in progress. So I know there's several bugs, several problems with how the spreadsheet works, the analysis works, and I've noted many of them down here. So have a read of those if you're interested. But I still think even despite those, the spreadsheet should still be useful, even with a few mistakes, a few problems here and there. Overall, it should still sort of approximate the number of words known in each text, which should help you to pick the texts that are going to be most appropriate for you when you're learning. Okay, so let's jump over here to that words tab. Before we go there, I can just say that if you want to create a copy of this for yourself, you can do that up here. So you go File, make a copy. Okay, so this is the words tab. So this has the full list of the words that were extracted from the texts. And then here is my ranking. So they're currently listed in order of the ranking that I've put, the reading res rank. And I've also put the top 4,000 rank for each of the words in the cases where they occurred within that list. So you can see that some of them didn't appear in that list. And there's various reasons for that. Some of them were filtered out by Jorgen in his analysis, for example, numbers, and some of them, and I think particles as well. And some of them weren't included for other reasons. I've put a category and an English translation. Just keep in mind that these were generated by ChatGPT-4. That was the sort of quickest and easiest way and cheapest way for me to do it. But just take them with a grain of salt, because we know that it's not always 100% right. Although often it seems to be pretty good for translation. So hopefully it's still pretty useful. And so you've got all of those there in those columns. Now let's jump over to the brackets column. So this is kind of where the magic is done. We've got lots of different sets here, and these sets are based on different strategies you might use to optimize your learning of the words you're learning within the lists. And I'll explain about those here. So down on the left here, we've got the name of each of the texts. We've got the set that text comes from. There'll be more information about those texts in the Reading Resources tab. So this is just, to help you identify them quickly. Then we've got brackets. So the way to read this is we've got the top 4,000, the brackets for the top 4,000 rank list, and we've got the brackets for the reading res rank list. So this is my list here, which again is based on those reading resources. And then we've got the top 4,000 list, which is that Jorgen Nielsen list. So basically, if we're looking at the 500 column here, it means that you already know the top 500 words of the top 4,000 list. If it's 2,000, you already know the top 2,000 words of the top 4,000 list. So half of the words within that list. And going over here, if you know 1,500 here, it's 1,500 of the words, the top 1,500 of the words in the reading res rank list. And the percentages mean what percentage of the words in that text you're going to know if you know that top 500. So it's 82% of the top 500, it's 91% at the top 2,000, and it's 93% at the top 4,000. But looking over in my list, it's 90% at the top 500, and at the top 3,000, it's 98%, and at the top 3,500, it's 100%. Now these colors are coded again towards that those three different categories. So red is reading pain, yellow or orange is intensive reading, and green is extensive reading. Now, in terms of the different types here, so this section here is just looking at all the words. This section is all the words minus the proper nouns. You might decide that learning proper nouns is less important for your learning, which I would tend to agree that for many proper nouns, they're going to be coming up so infrequently that it doesn't really make sense to learn all of them. Then we've got English loanwords. With English loanwords, you can often guess what the word is, even if you haven't pre-learnt it, assuming you know the English word. And then this final one here is taking out both the proper nouns and the English loanwords. So you can kind of select the list that's most useful for you based on your strategy that you're using with your learning. And we'll now jump over to the reading resources list. So this has got all those reading resources listed again, and then some more information about them. So the set they're from, the set number if there is one, some level information if there is one. Then we've got some information about the words. So again, like the total words, number of proper nouns, a number of English loanwords. So that's relevant to what I was talking about with the brackets there. A link to the source where you can find that text. Whether that text has explanations and vocab in there, so maybe a list of vocab to help you. Whether the link there, that story has audio as well, and then also the time of that audio and the words per minute calculated from that time. Now, I only sort of added this more recently, so I haven't done this for all the texts, but we might sort of add those later, and you can add them in yourself if you like. And this just helps us to kind of benchmark our reading times, because I don't know what the average reading speed is for Thai people, but we can see here from these it's sort of around 300 words per minute, which seems pretty fast, and that's actually for someone reading out loud. So when you read in your head, it should be even faster than that. So you can kind of benchmark your reading speed against these. I am nowhere near these, so I guess I've got a lot of work to do. But this section over here is about tracking that kind of information about reading speed and whatnot. But before we get to there, let me just mention these two columns. So this takes that information, that bracket information, and brings it over to this tab. So basically, you can, whichever list you're using, your ranking list, you can pick your current bracket that you're up to. So let's say you've already learnt the top 1,500 of the top 4,000 ranked list, and that'll just tell you what percentage of each of these texts you know. So that's taken directly from the brackets tab. Just makes it a bit more convenient because you'll be here in this other tab. Or, look, if you already know the top 1,000 of the reading res ranked list, it'll also tell you here, so you can kind of pick out, I already know 90% of this one, I know 98% of this one, 90% of this one. So if you want to pick only the ones where you can do a sort of effective extensive reading, this helps you to identify those. Now, this last section here, I put 10 different opportunities for you to record reading information for each text. Now, this kind of highlights that repeated reading is kind of a strategy you might use in languages where there aren't a lot of great resources around. If there's, for instance, like English, if there's many texts around for learners to read, including lots of good graded readers, there's probably isn't much reason to have to reread any particular text, although you could still do it and probably get benefit from that. But there's, obviously each time you read a text, it might be a little bit less interesting because you already know the content, right? If they've got lots of different resources, there's less incentive and less sort of need to do repeated reading. But in Thai, I think because there aren't that many great resources, one strategy you can use, and a strategy that I use, is rereading resources to get a more benefit from those. And that's why I created this section, so I could keep track of the information each time I read. So I put in a time here. I put in, this is a calculation that calculates the words per minute based on that time. And then I also put it in a comprehension score. So this is just kind of an estimate, guesstimate based on, that I just pluck out of my mind. But hopefully what we want to see is, our reading speed increasing over time and our comprehension increasing over time. If you have any feedback on this spreadsheet and this idea, please put them down in the comments below. I'm very keen to hear what you have to say. And don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more videos about my journey for learning Thai. And I'll be putting together some more sort of resources like this as I go to help myself and to help others. So subscribe if you want to get kept up to date about those. And if you found this video useful, interesting, please give it a thumbs up. Consider sharing it with a Thai learning friend. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks very much.